Welcome to my scrapping space. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin, and I'm here to share a really pretty card made from this amazing suite called Mediterranean Blooms. And we're going to talk a little bit about how, when you have a paper pack filled with all these prints, what are some ideas for using them? And that's exactly what this card does. So let's get my face out of the way and start creating. So first of all, the suite is from, I keep referring to it as the new annual catalog. It's the 24-25 catalog that came out at the beginning of May. So, sorry guys, I see we're a little wonky here there. That's feeling better, we're gonna leave it. So this suite is called Mediterranean Blooms. I am focusing on this card on the papers, but as you can see, beautiful stamp sets, amazing dies. There's another video using this die. So, but let's talk about papers. One side is all citrus, and the other side are these wonderful blue and white prints. And sometimes it's hard to pick a favorite print. You don't want to show favorites. So this is a card design, regardless of which paper pack you're using, that would be great when you find yourself in that circumstance. I chose 3 of the prints. Maybe you want to use prints that you have a lot of extras of. And just, there's not a right or wrong. I made sure I had a little white space in between to let your eye rest. And because I had prints 2 lighter ones and a darker one, I used the darker one in the center. I just felt like it worked better, kind of anchored the 3 prints, but whatever works for you. And you know, we don't send out naked envelopes. By using 3 prints, you can use whatever print you want on that envelope flap. So what do you say we make a card? We're gonna start with the 3 prints. And when I need to line things up and try to have them straight, and there's 3 different things, I always start on the outside, and then whatever space I have left on the inside, I kind of get that centered. This, in terms of adhesive, this is a great job for our multi-purpose glue, because you have a little bit of time to move it around. But we're going to emboss this, and I think it might be hard to see on the camera, but this has some texture to it, which kind of help bring all 3 pieces together. But when you're embossing, that's a lot of pressure on your paper, so we're going to be very light with our glue, like just a little bit, and not very close to the edge. White on white you probably can't see, but that's just a little bit. Then this piece I'm going to line up with the edge of my paper. And because I have that glue, I can kind of move it around. I turn it to the back. Look, I'm not seeing anything there. I probably did a pretty good job. Now I'm going to take the other print, which is predominantly white, and put that on the other side. And again, just a little bit of glue through there. We're going to line that up. When I see these blues, I think they really do make me think of the Mediterranean. With the help of my team and my customers, I earned the Stampin' Up incentive trip, which was a cruise of the Greek Isles. And oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever seen such blues. It was just a stunning trip, a wonderful time Dean and I were able to take. We were very grateful, but I came back with an even greater appreciation of blue and white. So this is what I have left. This time, I'm going to kind of put it here. And you could have done that in the other ones, but just because I'm just lining it up in the center, that seems easier. And we're going to eye this. Now, is it going to be perfect? No. If you need perfect, measure. I'm not measuring. I am eyeing it. This is a lot of print. Your eye's not necessarily going to say, oh dear, that's off. And at some point, you just have to live with it. Like, this is pretty good. And see, this is the beauty of this adhesive. I can still move it around. So this would be fine, but when you add a little bit of texture, it just brings your card to a new level. And for something like this, when you have so many pieces you're gluing to the front, you're sure they're not going to go anywhere. I'm holding it up to see if we can tell. You can kind of tell by looking at this print the difference between the flat and the embossed. Trust me, the embossed is better. Now I chose Distressed Tile. It's an embossing folder that's in the annual catalog. And I felt like the shape there kind of mimicked some of these shapes. It wouldn't matter, just an overall embossing folder works great. when I get my folders, I label the name and what we call the sandwich, like which plates are you going to use in your machine. And for this folder, I'm going to use plates 1 and plate 4. I'm going to put the piece to be embossed on the inside here. And just like that. Now, if you end up getting a little bit more glue than you want and it comes out in your embossing folder, which did happen to us in class, just a little warm soapy water on the inside, and then I open up my folder to let it dry, and it works just great. Okay, so I'm gonna grab, my cut and emboss machine, and it said that I need to use plates 1 and 4. I'm using the Stampin' Up machine, which I love. If you're using another machine, you probably know which sandwich you need. Here's plate 1. My folder is going to go on plate 1. Whatever you're cutting, die cutting or embossing, it always goes under your top plate. And since there's only 2 plates, this is where it lands. I have my fold first. I have the Stampin' Up logo on top. And the most important piece is I have another plate on top. Regardless of the kind of machine you have, you always want a plate on top. It protects your embossing folder and die, and it protects your machine. Then I'm just going to roll it through. And if your machine is not rolling as easily as this one, stop and check your plates. Okay, we're going to put this back to the side. One of the things I love about that machine, other than how easy it is to work and what a great job it does, is I can pop up the sides. It just takes up less room on my crafting space, so I have more room to make a bigger mess. There we go. And we have some lovely texture, and you can decide what's top or bottom. It looks like on my card I went this way. So this time let's go this way. And then I'm going to do my card base next. And my card base is Night of Navy. Now there are other blues in here, and because it's Stampin' Up, the paper pack tells you which other blues they are. There's a balmy blue in there, and there's a boho blue. You can pick whatever card base you like. I'm just a big fan of Night of Navy. I think it's a great neutral. And this is just going to land here in the center. I'm going to use the adhesive glue. I'm going to be a little more generous this time. This is a pretty heavily embossed surface. If you look, you can kind of see that there's a lot of little crevices in here. A tape runner could just kind of float in the top and not adhere it the way you want. So I'm being pretty generous, and that glue will catch those crevices and do a great job for us. I'm going to open my card base. There we go. Now the other thing you could do with this is I could make this slightly smaller. This is 4 by 5 1/4. I could have gone to 3 7/8 by 5, let's say, and picked out another one of these blues and matted it so I had a double row, a navy card base and another blue. So many options. And again, depending on the paper pack you're using. You could do this with 3 Christmas prints or 3 spring prints or little baby prints and make a baby card. So many possibilities. The directions, you know, the measurements, all that's on my blog. So you could go back in and reproduce this card, any kind of print you want. I'm in need of birthday cards. So these dies I love. So we have a skinny and a wide, which lets me have something to stamp on, and then kind of a different kind of mat on the back. And there is a die in the catalog called Delicate Forest. I'm just checking my notes to make sure I'm accurate. Yes, Delicate Forest, and that's what I used. And Delicate Forest is amazing, like a tree die, and I think it's easy to miss the, oh, there it is, miss this fun label die in there. So I'm using minis because this is what I'm doing. Right through the center. You could probably use the regular ones too. I just felt like the minis worked better for this. I'm going to put 4 little mini dimensionals. If you haven't used dimensionals before, think of like here, foam, and when I pull it off the sheet it's sticky, and then when I pull the back, and this has what I call the spatula end, it's probably not. I like the pokey end for this job, and I'm just going to lift them up. And I'm just putting them in a little container to the side here so they don't travel everywhere around my house. And then on here, I centered them. Those of you who watch me know I spend way too much time trying to get things in the center. So the other way to avoid that is to purposefully be off. Like, no one's going to look at this if I do it this way and think, oh, that girl didn't quite get it centered. They're going to look at it and know I didn't want it centered. So that's what we're doing. Then a touch more of our multi-purpose glue. If you were making a lot of these cards, let's say you were doing Christmas prints, you could do this step by step and they would come together very fast. And that's going there. Because I used the glue, I can push it down and let it set. Now I felt like I wanted a little bit of bling on here. So in the white part of the card, and it kind of does blend in, but when you're up close, you can see it. There's one, there's two. You could go with a totally different color, like a pink or something, to stand out, but this was not a card I was working on standing out. There are some great navy embellishments called Assorted Opal, I'll get back to my notes, Opal Rounds Assortment. And they're part of the Mediterranean Bloom Suite. So we have navy, we have a pretty orangey color, like this is peach pie, and then a clear. I've used them so many more times than I thought I would. I'm going to grab those. And when I attach embellishments, that's a distraction, sorry guys. I do an odd number, typically 3, and I do them in a roughly triangular shape. Now, because I popped this up, I'm not going to put an embellishment on there because that would really make the embellishment kind of stick out on the envelope. But I'm going to put it close to there to draw your name, draw your attention, and to the sentiment. And I'm putting it not on navy so that it stands out a little bit more. So there's our one. The other two, when you say roughly triangular shape, think of 2 pieces closer together. That can go there. And that can go there. And they're both on the white, so they pop out a little bit. So we have a lovely card front, but we need something for the inside. The sentiment for the front and the inside, and the inside says, hoping you have the best day ever, comes from a stamp set in our catalog called Country Birdhouse. And again, all that will be on my blog. Now, we're going to bring a little bit of the card from the front to the inside, and because I have 3 prints, I just grab whatever I have the most of, kind of like we're going to talk about with the envelope flap too. We're going to use just a light amount of my multi-purpose glue. I'm going to line this up with the top of my card, but my team members are in class, I see them use it all over. Maybe down the side or at the bottom, or they'll put it at the top and leave a little bit more white to show. Do what you think looks great. Okay, again, beautiful card, not going out in a naked envelope. So here's what we're going to do. I have a piece that's 2 1/4 by 6. Again, numbers will be on my blog. And on my envelope flap, which is smaller than that piece, I'm going to put the glue. When you're gluing 2 pieces of paper together, the glue always goes on the smaller piece. It just saves some cleanup later. If you put on the bigger piece, so if I would have glued this piece like out to the corner and then I laid it down, yeah, glue everywhere. Not a good thing. So let's do a little trimming. I'm just using the back of my card insert as my guide. We're going to trim that, and then we're going to trim the envelope. And that's all there is to it. Depending on the prints you use, I think this would also be a great card for a sympathy card, wishing someone a speedy recovery. It is just a card design that you could use with almost any paper, any embossing folder. These strips are 1 1/4 inch wide, so you don't need a very wide strip. There we go. All right. let's add that card insert. And we're going to be finished with our card. I love the Mediterranean Bloom Suite, honestly, so much more than I thought. There we go. Look what that, just that touch of print paper does for the inside of there. And there's our card. Thanks for watching. It means more than you know. And whether you're watching on Facebook or on my YouTube channel, I truly appreciate your support of my small business. Until next time, take care and keep crafting. It's good for you.